Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on whichever part of the world you are tuning in from. Well, happy Monday to you guys, and I do hope we all had a wonderful weekend out there. Well, it's a beautiful morning out here, and in fact, I'm very excited to be with you here this morning as we are going to be taking another fresh new look into the financial landscape from a technical standpoint. Well, my name is Sharif Daramola, and for the next 1 hour, I'm going to be your host. I keep saying 1 hour. For the next 30-40 minutes, I will be your host as we going to be doing a follow-up detail to the videos I shared during the course of the weekend. And during the Forex Morning Mastery, we usually emphasize on 1 hour time frame to execute the ideas I shared during the course of the weekend. And in fact, if you had not watched those videos, it is very, very important for you to watch them, as this will give you a background knowledge of how we got to the current structure we have on the 1 hour time frame. And in fact, if you had not watched them, I have the links right in the description box of this current video you are watching, so you can check them out to see how we are going, how we got to the level we are right now. Okay, so with that being said here, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, excited to have you around with us this morning. And you might be asking what this is all about. Well, as technical traders, we usually gather here on a daily basis in anticipation of the London and New York session. And of course, we come here to engage and do follow-ups and reviews of the current positions in preparation for the London and New York session. Now, the usual and official time is 9:05 a.m. West African time, 8:05 a.m. UTC, and I recommend that you stay tuned in during the course of the session so you don't miss out on any of the insights that we will be deliberating on today. Well, my aim here is to equip you with the knowledge and skills necessary to make informed trading decisions independently. So the more time you spend and utilizing the information gathered here to enhance your own trading decisions and strategies. So once again, you are highly welcome on board. So for this week, we are going to be focusing on three major assets like we did last week, which includes the USOILSPOT, the GBPUSD, and of course my favorite, which is the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot. Now, for the USOILSPOT, I didn't make any public video as regards to that one. So what I will be doing here is to do a top-down analysis on that one. So I will be taking it from the daily time frame to see how we are going to get down into the lower time frame before making our decisions. Then the other ones, which I did a public video on, that is the GBP USD and the XAUUSD, you can find that on my channel and of course right in the description box of this current video you are watching. So with that being said here, let's dive right into the business. And as usual, the first thing we normally do is to check on the economic calendar, of course. And hold on a second. So first thing we usually do is to check on the economic calendar. And in fact, we know how important this is, as these fundamental factors often manifest on the chart in technical patterns and price movement. And by monitoring the economic calendar, we can easily identify the chart, hereby giving us valuable information needed to position ourselves in such a way that we can capitalize on any potential move prior, during, and even after these economic events. So on the economic calendar for this week, we usually focus on high impact event from the economic dockets that affects the asset. And for this week, based on the asset we have on our watch list, we will be focusing only on the United States and the United Kingdom. However, while looking at the economic calendar, you will see that we do not have any high impact events for today. So in that regard, I would love that we include the medium impact event. At least this will also give us a broader view into what fundamental factors that will be driving the market sentiment for today. So if we bring out the medium impact event, let's see what we have here for Monday, November 13th. So for Monday, November 13th, we have a couple of impactful events here, one from the United Kingdom and the other one from the United States. Now from the United Kingdom, we are looking at dollar. Now for this one here, the previous data came in at a deficit of $171 billion, and we have a consensus projecting that for this month, though there will be a debt, but it's going to be much more lower than the previous one, had a deficit of $30 billion, which is a little bit on the positive side for the US dollar. So we look forward to see what the actual data is going to be like. Will it be just as expected, below expectations, or even way beyond expectations? So with the information we have gathered here, as technical traders, we do know that the anticipation of this event alone also has a tendency of influencing market sentiment, which of course would today is going to be the USOILSPOT. And on the USOILSPOT, because of the fact that I didn't share any public videos on this asset, so what we will be doing this morning is to do a top-down analysis on this asset, which time frame. And remember, last week we had a very phenomenal week on the USOILSPOT where we scooped in over 1,000 pips from multiple entries as we rode that bearish momentum all the way into the $75 area. And once again, for those of us who took advantage of this immense opportunity, well done to you guys for being on standby to capitalize on that move. Now, with that being said, let's look at the current structure and what it is saying from a technical standpoint. Now, what I did on the USOILSPOT chart was to take into consideration the nature of price action in the last 4 to 5 months. That's between July and this present moment. And if you look at the structure closely, I was able to identify a couple of levels. One of them is the $75 area, which happens to be the lowest point where price action is for last week. And in fact, it also resonates with what actually happened in the month of July, as we saw how price came back into that area just like it did in July and begin to incite some bullish pressure around this area. So are we likely going to be seeing some buying opportunity this week, or are we going to be seeing price break down the structure? Then in addition to this $75 area is my key level for this week, which is going to be situated at the $80 mark. This area here had been a significant factor in determining the direction of price action for quite a long time. I don't want to go to as far as the beginning of this year, but it's a very key level, a very important area where even the OPEC Plus, while they are trying to artificially increase the demand for oil by cutting oil production since the beginning of the year, a level which they have projected to be a platform for where price action. Now, for the fact that price action has broken down the $80 mark for last week with an engulfing bearish candle, from a technical standpoint, we do expect that price action may likely come back to probably retest the structure where the appearance of selling pressure could incite a downtrend move. And in fact, if that is not the case, well, a break above of the $80 mark area costs to about 400 pips to catch on that one. So if price were going to be doing a retracement back into the $80 area, we of course want to be on standby to capitalize on that move. Now, to further understand what is really going on around this area, after noticing that sellers are finding it difficult to break through the $75 area, we would like to scale down to a lower time frame, like the 4 hours time frame, to actually see what is going on in the last 3 to 4 days around that $75 area, to give us a little bit of insight into what structure market participants has evolved into based on their trading activity. Now, scaling down into the 4 hours time frame, we will begin to see things more clearly here. So, okay, so the chart loads up finally, and look at what we have here. Now, since price action tested the $75 area that was right here on Wednesday, we begin to notice how sellers were finding it difficult to break through that area. And one thing that is evident about the structure is the fact that price continued to find higher lows. And you know, when we notice higher lows on the charts, what do? We try to connect them, which of course also reveals that buyers are gradually gaining momentum behind the scenes. Then, in addition to this observation, is the potential reversal setup that is beginning to happen on this chart. Now, it looks like a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure. And you know how we do it in this community. Whenever we identify this kind of setup, the next thing we want to be doing is to mark out the neckline of that reversal pattern, which of course the breakout of the neckline will be validating the potency of that reversal pattern. Now, when we look at this closely, we have the neckline of the reversal pattern sitting just exactly around the $76 area. And look at what happened here on Friday. During the early hours on Friday, we saw price break out of the structure, give us a bullish opportunity, and in fact, it appears price is back to retest the structure, which everything is setting up for an uptrend situation from this point in time. So at this point, we are at a very critical juncture in the market where price action is back into the $76 area, which interestingly shares a confluence with a temporary ascending trend line we identified here. Now, at this juncture, based on the crucial nature of this area, we want to be exercising patience and see how the market participant will be reacting to this confluence. Now, if we begin to notice a form of a reversal pattern or continued buy pressure, giving us signs that sellers are finding it difficult to break through the ascending trend line and the $76 area, which of course will reflect on the chart as something like this, then we want to be part of an uptrend situation, maybe back into the $80 area. And one thing about the $80 area here is how it also shares a beautiful confluence with that descending trend line that has been supporting this bearish momentum since the second the structure that was broken to push price to the downside. But till then, let's focus on what is happening here. So at this point, we are at a very crucial juncture where price is currently oscillating around the 76 and of course the ascending trend line. So what we are going to be doing now is to scale down into the lower time frame, that is the 1 hour time frame, so we can see how participants have been reacting to this current market structure since the beginning of this week. Now, I would like this ascending trend line to also reflect on the lower time frame, so I'll just do this and then scale down into the 1 hour time frame. Okay. Sorry, give me a moment, please. I'm also broadcasting live on Trading View. So I just noticed now that it's not broadcasting yet. Okay. So I think here we go now. All right. So we are right now on the 1 hour time frame. So what we want to do on the 1 hour time frame now is to see how market participants have been reacting to this current structure. Okay, I think I have this. So I'll have to take this one out here. Hold on a second. All right, I will have to take this one out and then, all right, so back into the 1 hour time frame. So on the 1 hour time frame, while I was trying to dissect the current structure to see what is really going to be happening today, so what I noticed here, the first thing I noticed is a bearish gap. So we saw a bearish gap happen. Remember, last week's trading session closed around the $77.40 level. And in fact, this week's trading session began around the $76.75 area, which revealed the institutional transaction that happened through the weekend. Now, with the situation we have here, we saw price started the week on a weaker note as price dropped into the support line at the $76.35 area, and we saw an engulfing candle spring out of that structure, hereby giving us a beautiful range where price action is currently confined, which is within the $76.75 level and the $76.35 area, to emphasize the level of indecision at this point in time. And of course, you know how we do it in this community. As soon as price action falls into an indecisive phase, transitioning into a flat channel, we want to exercise patience and wait for either the breakout of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or the breakdown of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell. Now, with that in mind, and in addition to the ascending trend line we spotted on the higher time frame, on the 4 hours time frame, the fact that price action still remains above our ascending trend line still maintains the idea that price is likely going to continue to the upside. So in that regard, placing a buy stop order above the $76.75 level makes quite a lot of sense at this point in time. So anywhere above the $76.75 level, we look out for buying opportunities, and if price action continues to climb to the upside, then a breakout of the $77.50 area will be welcoming more buy positions. And always remember that while you are executing your trend, you do want to have a well-defined risk strategy to manage your portfolio, so that every decision we make in the financial market is considered to be an educated guess, and not until price action hits your TP target are you sure that price is really going in that direction. So in that regard, you want to ensure that you have your stop losses in place. And in this case scenario, because of the range we have here, I'm of the opinion that having a stop loss anywhere below the support line here, and of course remember that you do want to be given enough breathing space for price action to be able to move around. So that is that on buying the USOILSPOT for today. So we are only going to be looking out for buying opportunities as soon as price breaks out of the $76.75 area. Now, in as much as we're looking out for buying opportunities, you know how we do it in this community. We also want to keep tabs with the opposite direction as well. We could say price could go to the upside, but the market can decide to go downwards. And of course, as technical traders, we want to be part of that move when it finally happens. Now, if we look at this current structure we have here, what is it that we will see on this chart that will make us negate the idea of buying and feel comfortable selling this asset? Well, the first thing I would like to call our attention to here is the ascending trend line we identified on the 4 hours time frame. And as you will see, this ascending trend line has been holding bullish momentum since last week Wednesday. As you will see, price is yet to break down the structure, which further emphasizes the strength of the buyers, at least in the near term. Now, for us to consider selling the USOILSPOT today, I would rather want to see price action break through the ascending trend line, breaking down the ascending trend line. Then at this point where we have a breakdown of the ascending trend line, this will be a beautiful signal that the trend line may no longer have the capacity to continue to negate the bearish attempt, hereby giving us an opportunity to consider selling. Now, if price breaks down the structure, it could still turn out to be a false breakdown. So at this point, I would like to see some confirmations before I jump into any sell position. Now, the confirmation, of course, will be a sign that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above both the $76.35 level and the ascending trend line, which of course will reflect on the chart as price coming back to retest this trend line or the structure. It could even go a little bit higher than price drops to the downside. Then at this point, we want to start considering selling. Now, you might be asking that the support line of this range is not close to that trend line. So price could break down the support line here, very, very possible. That is, break down the support line. So if it breaks down the support line at the $76.35 level, we cannot sell right there unless we see price retest structure, and the inability of buyers to break through the structure will be a good opportunity to sell below the structure. So let's keep this in mind And in fact, we could see some consolidation. If truly price wants to go down, we could see some consolidation phase last maybe 24 hours before price finally breaks down the structure. So it's something we want to be taking into consideration while we continue to monitor price action. But personally, I'm of the opinion that price is likely going to be upside based on the reversal pattern we identified on the 4 hours time frame and the fact that price still remains above our ascending trend line. So I remain bullish unless the breakdown of this ascending trend line happens today, then I will consider selling. But trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my Trading View and Telegram platforms to give you updates as at when due, especially when I see any interesting setup that transform on the chart. So at this point in time, I will pause here and let's see if there are any questions whatsoever as regards to my explanation or the current setup. If you do, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So as usual, I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds off to see if there are any questions, while you can also use that time to mark out these levels on your chart, as you will be needing them as a reference point to guide your independent trading decisions for today. So I see a couple of comments here in the comment section. Hello, Juna Aruna. Good morning to you. Sid Gray, how are you doing today? Thank you very much. Namaste. Ika's Diary, good morning to you. Glad to have you around with us this morning as well. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend out there. So in the absence of no questions, I do want to assume that we are all on the same page and that you have marked out these levels on your chart, as you will be needing them as a reference point to guide your trading decisions for today. So in that regard, let's move on to the next asset on our watch list. All right. So the next asset on our watch list for this morning is the cable market, that is the GBPUSD. So I do want box of this current video, you will find the links to the GBPUSD where I did a top-down analysis on this asset. So right now we will be going straight into the 1 hour time frame, and of course I did share an update this morning as we have noticed how the GBPUSD continues its upward trajectory, and in fact breaking out of that significant level had a 1.22300 level area, which I identified in my video during the Asian session today. And of course, this uptick in price move can be attributed to the support gathered from the better than expected GDP data that came in last week Friday. As we all know, the market participant needs some time to digest that data and see the implications of the data to their portfolio. But it appears that price action is beginning to gain some momentum in favor of the GBPUSD. However, it is worth noting that we have some significant economic features coming in from both the United States and the United Kingdom this week, which has a tendency of influencing the market sentiment. And of course, we all know that the anticipation of this event alone also has a tendency of influencing the emotions in the market, which of course would reflect on the chart as price action. So we have the CPI data coming in from the United States. We also have the employment data, of course. We have the labor data, labor sector data from the United Kingdom all coming up, which will be giving us clues into what is likely going to be happening on this asset. However, if we look at the structure here from a technical standpoint this morning, based on the trading activities since the beginning of this week, it is quite clear that the market is at this point in time caught within a limbo, as price action is currently confined within the 1.22375 level and the 1.22225 level area, giving us an insight into the level of indecision at this point in time. And of course, you know how we treat our indecisive phase in this community, especially when price action transitions into a flat channel. We have no other choice than to exercise patience and wait for either the breakout of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or the breakdown of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell. Well, personally, I already had the buy position triggered. If you had watched my video on the GBPUSD, I laid emphasis on this 1.22300 level, where I said if price will break out of that structure, I want to be looking out for buying opportunities. Now, let me quickly share something with you on the 4 hours time frame, which I also laid emphasis on as regards to move that started during the last week of the month of October, giving us this impulsive move into this area. And from a technical standpoint, whenever price action breaks out of a key structure, remember our key level is at the 1.2200 area, we expect that price will come back at some point to retest the structure, which usually is as a result of profit-taking activity. Now, when I brought out my Fibonacci retracement tool, I had a buy zone situated between the 1.2200 area and of course the 1.21450 level, where I want to be seeing either a reversal pattern around this area or continue buy pressure to give me an opportunity to buy. And one interesting thing about this confluence here is the fact that it also shares a beautiful confluence with that ascending trend line that we marked out at this point. So everything is just lining up towards the idea of buying that asset. But at this point in time, we could still witness some choppy situation, especially as market participants anticipate the events coming up later this week. And we could see some volatility. Maybe price may drop back into the zone, but as long as price still remains within this 1.2200 and the 1.21450, I'm still going to be holding on to a bullish bias unless price action significantly breaks down, retests the ascending trend line, then we can start considering selling. So at this point in time, I am holding on to a bullish bias. So I needed to make you see what things are looking like on the 4 hours time frame. So let's go back down into the 1 hour time frame. Now on the 1 hour time frame, like I told you earlier, I already had the buy stop order triggered, especially after the 1.22300 level broke out of. So I saw this. Currently I'm having about 5 pips on this one. Now I'm having another buy stop order above the 1.22375 to capitalize on the uptrend continuation. So I'm still looking forward to a bullish bias on this particular asset. Let's see how the price is going to play out from here. Anywhere above the 1.22375 is looking very promising at this point. Then another thing I would like to include into the structure is I think we have a descending trend line, I think. And I would like to project it using the pivot highs here, as usually it normally gives us a precise form of trend line to work with. So if we bring out our candle chart and then let's allow this line to touch majority of the pivot lows, we have something like this. So we have a beautiful ascending trend line which will be guiding our trading decisions for today. So what this simply means is that as long as price remains above the ascending trend line, we feel comfortable in our buy positions. Now, what is it that will make us consider selling the GBPUSD today? Now, for us to sell the GBPUSD, we will need price action to break through the demand zone of this flat channel at the 1.22225 level. So if price will break down the support line here, retest of structure will be a beautiful opportunity to sell. Retest could still come back to as far as the ascending trend line. Just ensure that you have your stop losses just right above the ascending trend line, giving enough room for price action to breathe. So the only condition that will make us to sell is for price to drop below the 1.22225 level, and then if price continues to drop to the downside, breaking down the key level at the 1.220 area, then we could be considering adding more position. And one thing I would like to state here is that if price comes into the key level, we could see buy pressure resume around this area to push price to the upside too. So we will be very, very watchful of how participants in the market will be reacting to that confluence around the 1.22 if price action ever drops into that area. But trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my trading view and Telegram platforms to give you updates as to how we are going to be managing this position from a technical standpoint. So these are my views on the GBPUSD for today. So you do want to be marking out these levels and trend lines on your chart, as you will be needing them as a reference point to guide your independent trading decisions for today. And if you have any questions whatsoever as regards to the current setup, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and trust me, I'm here and willing to be of help in that regard. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions before we move on to the last asset on our watch list for today. All right. So in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page. So on the USD, we hold on to a bullish bias as long as price remains above this ascending trend line. We are getting ready for another wave of opportunity above the 1.22375. So in the absence of no questions, we will be moving on to the last asset on our watch list. So the last asset on my watch list for today is my favorite, which is the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot. And in fact, we have an interesting situation going on in the market right now. And let me reiterate again, for those of you who are joining us fresh or newly, we are only going to be deliberating on the 1 hour time frame. I already done a top-down analysis on this asset during the weekend, and of course I shared this publicly on all of my platforms, so you can check them out, so you can have a background knowledge of how we got to this current point. You will be seeing on the 1 hour time frame today. And in fact, if you one way or the other had missed out on that video, well, you can check the link in the description box of this current video to have a quick look at it, maybe after the session, and of course it will be of great help. Now, with that being said here, the XAUUSD at this point in time is grappling to gain some momentum, especially during the Asian session today, as we notice how market participants are in anticipation of the upcoming US consumer price index coming up later tomorrow for potential market direction. And from a technical standpoint, if we look at what is really going on here, percent level and the 1934 area to emphasize the level of indecision going on at this point. And of course, you know how we do it in this community. Whenever price action falls into a range like this, we have no other choice than to exercise patience and wait for a signal to come, either in the form of a breakout of the resistant line to give us an opportunity to buy, or the breakdown of the support line here to give us an opportunity to sell. Now, to refresh our memories as regards to what we discussed here during the course of my video on the XAUUSD, let me quickly share something with you on the 4 hours time frame, which of course will make this that price action is actually and currently within a demand zone. Remember, I think, okay, all right, so this is the demand zone right here. So we had a demand zone around the 1940, and in fact this demand zone has been holding since the second half of the month of October. And we can see how as soon as price gets into this area, we saw how sellers found it difficult to break through the structure. The same thing also happened somewhere around here, though it didn't come any closer to that point. But in the last couple of weeks now, we have seen price come into this area, and in fact last week price action closed just right within the 1940 level. Now we are at a very crucial demand zone at this point in time, hence we need to be very careful in order to make any informed trading decision. Now the question going into the new week is, will price action break down the 1930 to incite a sell-off maybe into the 1900 in anticipation of an uptrend continuation, or will price action just continue to the downside, breaking down the 1009 to incite more sell-off at this point in time? Or are we going to be seeing a situation where a reversal setup will transition here, where buying pressure resumes and the breakout of the 1945 level, which happens to be our key level, will welcome buying opportunities? So you can see we are at a crucial juncture, and let me blow your mind one more. We have another simple setup again, which is looking like a uptrend continuation pattern. So if we take a quick look at this, you will see that we have this impulsive move all the way into this area. Price found lower highs, giving us something like a flag pattern, or we could call it a wedge, depending on the perspective you are seeing this from. But the most important thing about this area, about this pattern, is that it is theoretically known to be an uptrend continuation pattern, where we want to see price break out of the resistant line of that pattern, retest of structure to give us an opportunity to buy. And if you look at that resistant line there, it shares a beautiful confluence with our key level at the 1945. And of course, you know how we use our key levels in this community. As long as price action remains above the key level, we look out for buying opportunities. But if price still remains below the key level, we want to be looking out for selling opportunities. So with this information here, it is quite clear that we are at a very crucial juncture in this market. So now let's scale down into the 1 hour time frame so we can see how participants have been reacting to the current market structure, especially within that 1940 area, which happens to be our demand zone in the last couple of weeks now. So scaling down into the 1 hour time frame, just right inside that demand zone, you will see, like I said earlier, price action is currently consolidating. And in fact, for the fact that price remains within the demand zone, if price action goes on to break out of this resistant line at the $1,941.50 level, I want to be capitalizing on an uptrend move. And if price continues to climb up, breaking out of my key level for this week at the 1945, I want to be adding more buy positions to my existing trade. So I hold on to a bullish bias on this particular asset. However, in as much as we're looking out for buying opportunities, the market could do whatever it wants, and if it does it, we also want to be on standby to capitalize on that move. Though we have a theoretical setup that proposes an uptrend situation, but it is not all the time that these theories used to work out. So in that regard, we want to be as flexible as possible. So in this case scenario here, if we consider the impulsive move that brought us into this point, we could consider some bearish trend continuation pattern, maybe a bearish rectangle where price breaking down the support line of that rectangle could welcome selling opportunities. So I would like to see some confirmations like a retest of structure before jumping into a bearish momentum here. And if price action continues to the downside, breaking down the 1930 level, we definitely want to be adding more sell positions to our existing trade. But personally, I think price will go to the upside considering the demand zone we are in right now. But if it drops, we want to be on standby to capitalize on that move. So basically for today's trading session, our center of focus for today is basically between the $1,941.50 level and the 1,934 area. We are depending on the breakout of the signal. A breakout of the range will give us a signal of where price is likely going to be going, at least for the first half of this week. So on this note, I would round it off on the XAUUSD. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds off as usual to see if there are any questions, while you also use that time to mark out these levels on your chart. And if you have found this content helpful in making your independent trading decisions for today, I will really appreciate your support by giving the video a thumbs up. Your likes are valuable to me, and in fact it also helps the algorithm promote the video to a wider audience of traders who may find this content beneficial to them as well. And thank you very much in advance for doing so. For those who have liked, thank you very much. For those who are yet to like, please click on the like button, and thank you very much as you do so. So on this note, let's see if there are any questions. I'll take the next 5 seconds off, then I'll come back to round off for today's session. All right. So in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page, sorry. And it has been a wonderful moment with you guys today. I really enjoyed every single moment I had with you. I just dropped the link to the XAUUSD live window right in the comment section. I pinned it right at the top. So you want to click on that link, click on the notify me button so you can get notified as soon as we come on live. So the XAUUSD usually kickstarts about 5 to 10 minutes into the New York session. So you do want to be part of that session as we come here to follow up real-time XAUUSD monitoring. For those of you who are joining for the first time that don't know what this is all about, well, the XAUUSD live window is a platform born out of popular demand from this community where we all gather to follow up real-time price action on the XAUUSD, especially during the first 6 hours of the New York session. So you do want to be part of that session so you can see how we anticipate new positions, how we manage our existing positions, and of course how we also run through the trade during the New York session. So looking forward to seeing you guys in the comment section on that platform. On this note, I would like to call it a day here. For those of you who joined us for the first time, I do hope you are able to gain 1 or 2 things from what we discussed here today. And in fact, I do encourage you to be part of the subsequent editions, as the more time you spend with us in this community, the better you get to understand the analytical approach we adopt and eventually be able to use the information you gather here to make your own independent trading decisions. So once again, I welcome you and I look forward to seeing more of you same time tomorrow, 9:05 a.m. West African time, 8:05 a.m. UTC, as we come here again to review how well these assets have been doing and at the same time get ready for tomorrow's trading session, which promises to be an interesting one as we look forward to high impact futures coming in from both the United States and the United Kingdom tomorrow. So do have a wonderful day, everyone. I see your comments, Ike's Diary. Thank you very much for your support, and glad to have you around with us. So on this note, do have a wonderful day, and I wish you best of luck during the London and the New York session. See you all in the comment section as we continue to monitor price action. Do have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye-bye.